Welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Modern Open here in rainy Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We are playing 7 rounds of Swiss today. We've completed one. We're about to be moving into round two. Ross, why don't you give us a look at what we'll be seeing from these two players?
Well, two very interesting deck lists this round. We have Matt Sims playing Dimir Mill. This is a deck that has picked up in popularity because of its matchup against Temur Breach.
Mm-hmm.
The main deck copies of Surgical Extraction are very, very effective in that matchup, and then it has a surprising number of tools to race a lot of the other decks. Franklin Folks playing a lot of cards that make it look like he's playing Breach. There's Tomio, Inquisitive Student, Emery Lurker of the Lock, Mox Opal, Mox Amber, Mishra's Bauble, but instead supplementing that powerful package with more of an interactive shell. This is Azorius Affinity. So he's got Kappa Cannoneers, he's drawing cards with Thought Monitor and Thoughtcast,
Yeah.
and then interacting with things like Portable Hole, Metallic Rebuke, has 3 copies of Tormod's Crypt in the main deck.
Main?
Yep, to help shut down that
Whoa.
Breach matchup, and then is also a Saga deck to boot. So this is sort of a fair way to take that package of Emery, Tomio, and all those powerful cheap artifacts.
Yeah, maybe a look at what the future looks like after Underworld Breach is banned on Monday. Who knows? But the players are ready to go in the future match area. So for round number two, let's head on down. On your left's going to be Franklin Folks on Azorius Affinity. On your right's Matt Sims on Dimir Mill.
Folks, one of our regulars here on the Apex series, made the top 8 in yesterday's standard AIQ, looking to do a little bit better today in Modern.
Yeah, Sims no slouch too. He's been coming for the last year or so. I believe he was one of the first people we saw playing Mardu Energy when the Black Splash was new, and doing very well. A really heads-up player is Matt.
Turn 1 Tomio for Folks is met with a fatal push
Bang.
from Matt Sims. Folks also deploying a Tormod script on that first turn.
All right,
What is
so
it?
here is Emery Lurker of the Lock. We're going to use the Tormod's Crypt to reduce its cost by 1, and we play a We Mill 4, and then next turn we can start bringing stuff back from the graveyard.
Yeah, I see 2 Mox Opals and a Mox Amber among the 4 cards milled by that Emery. So next turn, Folks can rebuy the Mox Amber, jump up a mana. The turn after that, he can rebuy the Mox Opal, be guaranteed Metalcraft, and jump up another mana.
Here is a Crab from Folks, or from Sims, and 1 fetch land, Mill 3.
It's Emery Mishra's Bauble, so now Emery can generate card advantage if Folks wants instead of extra mana.
And we're going to go fetching with that Delta down to at least 16. For Island, we're going to melee 3 more. Okay. See if Matt has a follow-up here with this 1 mana. Crab. More crab.
I see another Hedron Crab in the hand for Sims, so it's going to be triple crabs next turn.
Sim's going to take a peek at Folks' graveyard. Does have main deck Surgical Extraction usually in these Dimir Mill decks, so maybe curious about what to tag with it.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if Sims responds to the Emery activation by surgicaling whatever the Emery targets.
Folks here about how to play against these crabs. He knows that he's kind of under the gun. So we're going to target Mishra's Bauble, and Matt Sims says that resolves.
So folks say, signaling that he needs to find some gas, going for the Mishra's Bauble instead of a Mox. And pressure is very important for him in this matchup. He needs to make constructs quickly or find a Kappa Cannoneer and close out this game because the mill deck is surprisingly fast.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, these Hedron crabs, every time you play a lane, they're kind of dealing 3 damage, right? You're milling 3 cards. Your opponent has 60 life, 60 cards in deck. And so every land is about, what, 1/20th? And so 20 land drops is like a guaranteed kill, but usually you only need about 15. And when you have multiple crabs and fetch lands, it gets closer to like 6, 7.
Pithing Needle milled off of the 2 crab triggers there, so folks could go for Emery rebuy Pithing Needle, maybe name Polluted Delta, maybe name Field of Ruin if Sims doesn't respond.
I just want to keep drawing cards, trying to find a threat. All right, we're going to, well, first you should target. Yep, and we'll see if Matt wants to respond. And now we're going to cast this Needle, and Sim's going to go ahead and use Field of Ruin in response, blowing up one of those lands. And we're going to mill 6 more cards with these crabs.
Notably, folks, because of the Urza Sagas and Razortide bridges in the mana base, not playing any fetch lands, so no Meticulous Archive
Okay.
in the mana base, and not many basics, just one island.
Oh, wow. So a future Field of Ruin from Sims is going to be pretty rough. Here comes 6 milled cards from the crabs off that Field of Ruin. I think that might be my favorite part of the mill deck, is being able to play Field of Ruin and it just works with your crabs.
Works with the crabs, and Field of Ruin is not an optional search, even if you don't have a basic in your deck. So it forces your opponent to search their library and that to shuffle their library, and that turns on Archive Trap.
All right, we'll get confirmation on that Pithing Needle in just a moment, but the Pithing Needle does resolve. And now here comes Tamio. This is off of the floating mana from the land that got hit with the Field of Ruin.
Tamio, honestly, not a real problem for Matt Sims at this point. It's just going to generate a little bit of card advantage, but not apply that much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, really, folks just like wants what you said, the Kappa Cannoneers, maybe something like Thoughtcast into Thought Monitor into other stuff, right? We want some chains, we want to do some explosive things. Tamio and Emery are quite good and very cheap, but after turn 1 and 2, their value is lessened, especially against a deck like Mill that's kind of ignoring you and just chewing through your deck.
Yeah, Tamio on turn 1, generating those clues can lead to a very early Kappa Cannoneer or very big constructs early on, but Tamio on turn 3, turn 4, not nearly as problematic.
All right, so Pithing Needle has named the card Otawara. Nice.
Soaring City.
Yep, and that's going to shut down the one that Sims has in hand that I saw earlier that he could use to bounce. We're going to use Metallic Rebuke to target the Hedron Crab that's on the stack using Tormod's Crypt, Pithing Needle, and an island to pay for it. Sims says that resolves. Plays Otawara, mill 6. Pithing Needle doesn't stop you from playing it.
Yeah, Shadow Spear Mill. There's a Thought Monitor that folks could cast with the Emery. A lot of options there, but just doesn't have ways to pressure Sims' life total. Sims still at a very healthy 16, and I would guess that the library count is getting somewhere into the 20s.
So I think Matt has a Jace Perfected Mind in hand. Can we get that one on screen? Jace Perfected Mind, the completed version of Jace, fake completed version of Jace. He was playing tricky the whole time, but I believe it works similarly to what's the one blue draw 3 cards if
Ancestral, the Visions of Beyond.
Visions of Beyond. So I believe the -2 works kind of like Visions of Beyond. So if there are 20 or more cards in a graveyard, then you draw 3 cards, and so mill your opponent for a little bit, draw 3, and maybe kill you next turn. Who knows?
Yeah, so we know there's over 20 cards in the graveyard for folks. We know there's 8 in play and 3 in hand. So, yeah, library count definitely getting into the 20s, maybe even into the teens at this point. I saw a glimpse the unthinkable drawn off of that Jace for Matt Sims, so does not need too much on top of that to finish off this library.
All right, Portable Hole from Folks. That's going to take care of one of the crabs.
Yeah, this is a nice play for this deck, being able to rebuy removal spells with the Emery.
Yeah, I agree. I love Portable Hole in general, and I saw that there was like a 4-color Breach deck for a little while that was playing Portable Holes. I believe Edgar Maguies used it to do well in Canadian Regional Championship. Okay.
Folks counting artifacts. Okay, for a Thought Monitor.
He costs 1. We draw 2.
Yeah, needs to find Kappa Cannoneer. I think that's the only card that's going to be able to pressure Sims enough.
Yeah, I thought he would play Kappa Cannoneer from the graveyard this turn with Emery. Are you able to improvise from the graveyard? I believe so, but I think he was just really valuing getting the crab off the table. Graveyard, you may cast a card this turn.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, all right. So we're gonna tick up this Tamio after transforming it, thanks to the draw 2 from Thought Monitor. We're gonna pass back, folks. Folks, not many cards left in deck, and Sims might be looking to close it out this turn. We'll see.
Yeah, just a land and Glimpse will mill 13, and then the Jace, even on 1 loyalty, can mill 3.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like there's another Hedron Crab in Sim's hand, so playing that first is smart. Now land will mill 6.
And fetch land does 12.
Looks like it's Shelldock Isle.
Mm-hmm. And Shelldock Isle is turned on, so whatever he finds off of the hideaway on Shelldock should be pretty castable next turn. Shelldock Isle is a nice one. This is one you don't see every day. It comes up in cube every now and then. Get Shelldock Isle on the screen. This is a land that enters the battlefield tapped. I believe the set was Lorwyn when they first started doing Hideaway. During the time of Lorwyn Standard, it was Windbrisk Heights that was the one that was seeing the most play, thanks to its combination with Spectral Procession. Shelldock Isle works really well with Mill, and it works well in Limited because your deck is 40 cards, and so it's a little bit easier to get the Hideaway going and the card working without having to do anything.
Hey, Jace mills 3. That is probably a sign that the library is going to empty. Yeah, I think there's under 10 cards left there, so is there another counterspell here for folks?
No.
There's not.
Packs it in. Matt Sims and Mill takes game number 1. I heard a lot of chatter before the most recent regional championship, people saying that Mill was the stone cold killer for the format.
It is, the numbers are pretty good in the Breach matchup. However, not as strong across the board, but in matchups like this, where your opponent is not putting you under all that much pressure, Mill really thrives. It's quite good against Eldrazi.
Anyone's trying to draw a lot of cards. It seems like Mill just really farms them.
Yeah. The the matchups where they put you under a lot of pressure can be tricky, but like Boros Energy, but in those matchups, Tasha's Hideous Laughter is a huge
Mill 30 for 3 mana. It's pretty good. All right, as these players are reaching for their sideboard, I'm going to reach over and ask Ross, hey, how do you think Franklin Folks' Azorius Affinity deck gets out of this? Because he's down a game, and it looks like he got beat pretty bad that one.
Yeah, so Folks' sideboard, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of great cards for this matchup. 3 Consigned to Memory, 2 Damping Sphere.
Does Torp Orb only affect creatures?
Correct.
Okay.
3 Consigned to Memory, 2 Damping Sphere, 3 Dispatch, 2 Lavinia Azorius Renegade, 2 Split Up, 1 the Stone Brain, and 2 Torpor Orb. I mean, he probably wants a Dispatch to handle these crabs on top of Portable Hole, but you don't want to be too reactive in this matchup. The Damping Spheres are not very good. The Consigned to Memory to counter crab triggers, that does not seem particularly good to me. I suppose Lavinia stops Archive Trap from being cast for 0 mana. So that, and it's just a 2/2 that can attack them.
Yeah, I can see it coming in. Is there anything he really desperately wants to get out? Maybe the Tormod's Crypts?
Tormod's Crypt has some application against surgical extraction specifically.
Sure.
It can also help turn off Visions of Beyond. Still, 3 is excessive. I think 1 would be the maximum you would want. The Shadow Spear is quite poor here. That's for mainly creature matchups. If you're ever going to search for an equipment with Saga, the 1 Lava Spur Boots would be better, so you can haste that second construct. Honestly, Thought Monitor might be a little slow for a matchup like this.
Yeah, and drawing cards is not that relevant, right?
Yeah,
they're not destroying all your resources. Or
it's not really what the matchup is about. So yeah, not going to be many changes for folks here. It's really just going to be about, now I know the matchup. Now I know the kinds of hands I need to look for.
Turn 1 Emery, turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer. That's what you want.
Yeah.
All right, on the other side of the table, Matt Sims up a game with Dimir Mill. Handled that one quite well. Does he have any sideboard plan that you think could help solidify this match?
So Sims' sideboard is 2 Ashiok Dreamrender, 2 Consigned to Memory, 1 Emrakul to Aeon's Torn. He came prepared for the mirror. 1 Engineered Explosives, 2 Ensnaring Bridge, 2 Harbinger of the Seas, 4 Leyline of the Void, and 1 the Meathook Massacre. I think the Engineered Explosives should be very good. It can blow up portable holes. It can blow up construct tokens. There's just a lot of cheap permanents in the artifact deck. And then the Ensnaring Bridges. The main way that folks is attacking you is Kappa Cannoneer and large constructs. So Bridge really shuts those down. And at 3 mana, it doesn't get hit by portable hole.
Okay. Well, let's see if the Ensnaring Bridges come in to lock down this Affinity deck. All right, these players are shuffling up here for game number 2. Just a let y'all know what's going on this weekend here in the Apex home store in Caldwell, Ohio. We're doing Apex Con. It's a truly wonderful experience. We have roughly 150 players in the room today playing not just the main event, which we had 116 players for, but we also have a Lorcana event going on right now that's about 30 players. We have Value Vintage going on right now, which is about 20 players. We have Command Zone. We have Booster Drafts firing. We got a prize wall full of awesome stuff. Apex Con is lit, Ross.
It is popping off here in Caldwell, Ohio.
Yeah, look, many of you have been to your local game store, and people say, "Oh, my local game store is great." Apex is
Yeah.
the best local game store.
But my local game store could beat up your local game store.
Yeah, my local game store could eat your local game store and still have room for 100 people. But looks like Folks is going to be taking a mulligan. Sims kept his opener, so looking to aggressively mulligan.
Yeah, there's very specific kinds of hands that Folks is looking for. He needs explosive mana. He needs a fast clock. He didn't have either of those things in game one and was never really in it. I see an Urza Saga there now. If he can have a draw that starts making constructs on turn 2, which is very possible with all the cheap artifacts and Moxen in this deck,
Yeah,
that would be ideal. It looks like Saga is going to go to the bottom.
I think he might have two sagas. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
All right, gonna be underway here in just a moment, folks. On the play for game number 2, leading with the tapped artifact land and Mishra's Bauble and a Mox Amber. And pass it back. Deciding not to pop the Bauble yet. Sim's gonna lead with a Crab. Turn 2 for Folks. Here's Urza Saga. And there's Portable Hole. Great answer here.
Hey. This is a great start for Folks. Answered the first mill threat from Sims, has a threat of his own established, several artifacts already on the battlefield. In fact, every permanent other than the Saga is an artifact, so this is going to be a set of very large constructs.
I was going to say, he still needed one more land, but he did have it.
Yeah, and the fact that he didn't sack the Mishra's Bauble told you that he already had it rolled up. He would have sacked Bauble if he needed third land. Looks like it was a Seacrum Coast.
I believe so. So in the turn, Sims is going to go fetching. Going to find Undercity Sewers for a little bit of Surveil.
Okay, no turn 2 action from Sims. I thought we might see something like a cycled Fractured Sanity.
Well, Sims here, I think, really wants Ensnaring Bridge if those came in, right? That'll be a great way to kind of lock down these construct tokens.
Is that Crypt Incursion that got put to the graveyard there?
I believe so. That's a good eye.
Not much for the Incursion to eat, so that was a quick decision for Sims. I see an Ottawar in hand and a Field of Ruin, so plenty of mana in hand, but does he have the mill?
Yeah, whenever your opponent is about to start punching you and you haven't really attacked their library yet, the Hedron Crabs, they kind of attack the library without having to spend mana after the initial one.
That Soporific Springs was telling us, why did he play that instead of one of his other lands? And it's because he needed triple blue for this Fractured Sanity. Mill 14, please.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, if we're just doing 14, 10 to 14 cards per turn, that's not going to race these construct tokens, which are going to be punching him in the face momentarily.
I mean, this is
there
a
a Lava
two-turn
Spur
clock.
Boots?
Yeah, there's Lava Spur Boots.
Great.
So this
I
is
love
a
the
two-turn
Lava
clock.
Spur Boots.
If Folks has another land.
In fact, let's get Lava Spur Boots on the screen because it's about to come into play and do some punching next turn.
Actually, if
Is it
Folks has
lethal?
another land, this is lethal. Because there's already 5 artifacts on the battlefield. The Saga is going to make 3 more. That's 8. That's 16 damage plus Lava Spur Boots adds 1, 17. He just needs another mana so he can equip. Also, he needs to the boots not to have been milled by the Fractured Sanity.
Okay.
There's the Saga, the 1-card combo.
I love it. I used to hate it because I was a counterspell enjoyer. There's no way this is Shadow Spear. Come on. The Lava Spur Boots must have been milled.
Yeah, there's just no reason to get Spear instead.
I thought he might get the Tormod's Crypt so he could eat the graveyard, but
I think Folks is just trying to make tramplers in case Sims has chump blockers.
fair enough. All right. Does have the land.
Yeah, so the there's no way the Lava Spur Boots is in the library.
Maybe he drew the Lava Spur Boots in hand. Nope, Thought Monitor. All right, gonna draw 2.
And that is another artifact, so this is now...
So here's Surgical Extraction in response. He's taking Thought Monitor? That's not gonna stop the one that's being cast.
And there's only 2 in the deck, so...
I don't understand this play, but Sims maybe just wants to see the deck because he's about to die. That also may be a thing. I have not seen the Lava Spur Boots at all. Is there any chance they're in the? It's in the sideboard.
It would be a strange choice for folks, but... 2 cards coming still, and by my count, there's 9 artifacts on the battlefield, since one of those lands is a Razortide Bridge.
Yeah. Here's a Mishra's Bubble. And bang.
That'll be the 10th artifact, so this should be dropping Sims to 4.
Our friends over at Once Upon a Galaxy have made us some custom tokens to use for the broadcast. You're seeing the Construct token there. It looks like a metallic teddy bear. I haven't been able to see them yet, but it looks pretty cool.
Folks now sacrificing those Mishra's Baubles since he doesn't need them anymore.
All right, Sims going back his way. 3 mana. That's a bridge. Is this going to be good enough? 3 cards in hand.
I mean, Folks' deck has, by my count, exactly 1 way to remove Ensnaring Bridge from the battlefield.
Oh, no.
And it is Otawara.
Oh, no. Oh, Thought Monitor can get in still. Sims is at 4, so the attack with the Thought Monitor will put him to 2.
This is... Can Folks find Otawara? Can Sims empty his hand?
All right, here's Thoughtcast. Well, we're going to go digging. Draw 2. Another Thoughtcast. Thoughtcast begets more Thoughtcast. I think Sims is like, yes, he's drawing more cards. This is going to work in my favor when he runs out of a deck.
Here's a Tormod's Crypt. Not much to be done there. Also have to wonder if the Otawara is already in the graveyard.
It's also possible. Okay, so we're going to suit up this Thought Monitor. This allows us to attack for 3. It's going to put Sims down to 1.
And that 1 point is relevant. It means Sims can no longer activate fetch lands. I don't know if there's a way for Folks to get a 1-power creature. I guess Emery could now come across if Sims gets to 1 card in hand.
Sims could donate the Otawara to Franklin Folks in a kind gesture. All right, so 2 mana. Bulk. Okay, gonna go for 3, and Tasha's Hideous Laughter hits the table. This one not as good in this matchup because there's a lot of 4, 5, 6, 7 drops that all have like affinity or cost reduction or whatever, so...
Yeah, so let's flip till we hit 20 total mana value.
Okay.
So 0,
3.
3, 9. That's Tormod's Crypt?
Yeah.
12.
Yep.
15.
18.
Still 18. Still 18.
I can't
Not
tell.
sure what that card is. But must have been at least 2, so...
I think it was the Lavinia, actually. Ha!
Yeah,
It was.
that's Lavinia.
Nice.
So we hit exactly 20 there.
Oh, and now we go for Glimpse, but it looks like Folks is going to bite on this one. Here's Metallic Rebuke to stop the 10 mil.
But now Sims down to 1 card in hand. Oh, and Folks found the Otawara!
He had the Otawara!
Okay, so that's game 2 for Franklin Folks.
Wow. Well done from Franklin. Had the early Urza Saga start, able to leverage a couple of counter spells, and beat an Ensnaring Bridge with his 1 of Otawara.
And, we couldn't get a great look at the cards in graveyard, so maybe that's where the Lava Spur Boots was, but Folks quickly grabbing his graveyard, I think that means the Lava Spur Boots wasn't in his deck there, and he realized his mistake.
Looks like he's summoned a Stone Brain. I wonder if he's considering bringing that one in. But as these players do re-look at their sideboard and they're contemplating how they want to approach game number 3, I'd like to take this time to say thank you to our sponsors for ApexCon and this weekend's events. We are sponsored by Ultimate Guard. They're the industry leader when it comes to TCG supplies, from the archive deck box to the katana sleeves. Check your local game store for Ultimate Guard products today. We are sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a great place to build and share decks with your friends. All of our decks here on Apex are posted to Moxfield in the next week. SpiceRack.gg is a place where you can search for tournaments to play in your local area, or if you'd like to run tournaments yourself, it's a great platform for doing so. Check out SpiceRack.gg today. They have a great customer service and great backend if you are a tournament organizer. And last but not least, our friends over at Once Upon a Galaxy have been working with us to do a bunch of promo stuff for the Apex series, from these custom tokens to some gameplay videos from the great minds like Sam Pardee, Yuckmouth, and Luis Scott Vargas. Once Upon a Galaxy is a mobile game you can find in the App Store. It is an asynchronous auto battler that uses classic characters, things like Hercules, Loch Ness Monster, things like that. It's a really fun auto battler game for mobile. And we'll show you some more video gameplay later on today. All right, players are about ready here for game number 3. Let's see if there's any mulligans. Who do you got taking game 3, Ross?
I think structurally Mill should be a favorite in this matchup. I think Folks kind of got away with one, finding the one of Otawara so quickly in that matchup, because he did not have that many more turns to do it.
Did not have many turns to do it, and if it ever got milled, the game ended on the spot.
Yeah. Now, if Sims doesn't find the ensnaring bridge, then that game ends very quickly in Folks' favor. And there's only 2 bridges in Sims' list, too. But it's just so hard for Folks to put together a hand that pressures that quickly. And you see him mulliganing aggressively once again. He needs that turn 2 Urza Saga or turn 2 or 3 Kappa Cannoneer, even just to have a chance. Otherwise, the game plays out like game 1, where he took a lot of game actions, he drew a lot of cards, played some Tamios and Emery, but never had doing anything that was threatening to actually win the game.
All right, both players here taking a mulligan to 6, looking for something a little bit better to fight here in this game number 3. Neither of these players are slouches. They both play here on the Apex series quite often, and it's been a great match so far. I'm looking forward to game number 3.
And Folks with the top 8 yesterday, already in great positioning on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Another strong finish today. Even without an automatic qualification, he'd be well on his way to getting to that invitational in November.
Yeah, our leaderboard, top 8 players all receive a bye at the invitational as well. I've been calling them our Apex Predators. What do you think about that?
It's a great name.
Yeah, so Folks with yesterday's top 8 should be in the Apex Predators already, because the top 8 should be the top 8. Sims going to lead it off with a crab. Ruin Crab is the newer version. 3 toughness, but can only mill your opponent's stuff.
Has the one of Scalding Tarn to fetch up Watery Grave here.
All right, down to 17. Going to pass back to Franklin. Bobble, Mox, Portable Hole, and now we can still... Oh, wow. What a turn 1. Portable Hole, your crab. Tamio, Mox, Bobble, land. 5 permanents on turn 1? Was it 2004?
It's a Field of Ruin for Matt Sims, and now if Folks has a follow-up of either Kappa Cannoneer or Saga here, he's very much in the driver's seat. Attack with Tamio, get a clue. There's 4 artifacts and a land. He needs another land or a Zero-Man artifact. He could cast Kappa Cannoneer. And Urza Saga, no matter what, can be activated next turn because of the Mox Opal.
Well, I see a Thoughtcast. That's a pretty nice one to have here to at least get some more juice and to flip the Tamio. I love the fact that Thoughtcast flips Tamio. It makes it so perfect for this deck. It makes an artifact when it attacks. It's a 1-drop. It's a legend for Mox Amber. Just an incredible magic card is Tamio.
Yeah. This deck does not leverage the -3 ability all that well. There are some dispatches in the sideboard, but the main deck, it's just the Thoughtcasts and Metallic Rebukes as instants and sorceries to get back.
I don't see too many people -3ing Tamio in general. I know that I do, right? If I want to get back counter spell or a removable spell. Most of the time though, it's just tick up, protect, tick up, protect, tick up, protect. Ultimate win the game.
You got a minus on that Malevolent Rumble a little bit more, Todd.
Yeah, I chose not to play Breach because it was a nightmare to play on Magic Online.
And two more thought casts here for Franklin Folks. So now has a very juiced hand, but no additional pressure.
That was a turn 2. This is all turn 2. Just want to be clear, chat. We have 3 thought casts played, a Tamio, a Portable Hole, Mox, a Mishra's Bauble, a full grip.
And all Sims can do is cycle Visions of Beyond on the end step. So a bit of a weaker hand from him, and now a second Visions of Beyond on the main phase. This is a tough draw. No third land.
Oof. Matt here, you can see the body language. Sort of resigned to his fate. Knows that Folks has a nut draw, and his is not close. Here's the Shadow Spear. We keep seeing that one pop up. Now, 2-cost Thought Monitor. Gonna draw 2.
There's an Urza Saga drawn, but I think Folks already played a land for turn. Perhaps a little hasty on that.
Yeah, minor mistake there from Folks. Hopefully it doesn't cost him.
So 4 months Crypt.
Another Thought Monitor.
Yeah. The Folks drawing a ton of cards, but still hasn't assembled much pressure. There's a second Urza Saga. Fortunately for him, Sims has stumbled hard in this game, so he hasn't needed to have nearly as aggressive of a draw in order to take the lead in this game. Another Mox Opal casts an Emery, so that's going to mill 4. Kind of good news for Matt Sims. Don't see anything relevant milled there, just a couple Rebukes and a couple lands. But with the second Mox Opal in the graveyard, Emery effectively taps for a mana.
All right. Plus Tommy up to 6. Now we're going to go back to Sims. In a turn, Surgical. Targeting. There's a Saga. Nice. And that's a snipe, too.
2 in Folks' hand.
Oh, bummer.
Now getting max punished for playing that land before casting the Thought Monitor.
Yeah. This is a pretty brutal Surgical. Folks really kicking himself. The minor mistake has turned into a major mistake. Yeah. Capitalized on immediately by Sims.
I believe the last card in hand there for Folks is Lavinia. Azorius Renegade.
So that could stop archive traps, maybe.
I mean, it's a motley crew of creatures, but 2 Thought Monitors, Emery, Lavinia, Shadow Spear, that's 8 damage. And Sims is at 17. The interesting decision for me here, for Folks, is do you even want to Ultimate Tamio? Or does that open you up to something like a Fractured Sanity?
Tasha's Hideous Laughter,
yeah,
but you drew all your expensive stuff. Maybe we should have just minus and got back Metallic Rebuke this turn, you know. Alright, no land again for Matt. We're going to pass it back. Another Surgical Extraction on top, I think. Folks going to draw from the bauble and for turn. See how he wants to approach this. With the Surgical on top, I can't imagine that he's feeling scared because he knows there's not a land coming, right? So
yeah, Folks does rebuy Rebuke. Love this play. Sims going to respond by cycling Fractured Sanity. That'll mill 4 and draw Sims another card. And he Surgicals the Rebukes in response. But that does cost him 2 more life. Now he's down to 15. And still leave Folks a little bit short of lethal next turn. If he equips Shadow Spear, attacks with everything, then he can only get 6 damage in this turn, and then add Lavinia to the battlefield to get 8 next turn. Oh no, Sims was already at 15, now down to 13?
Unclear, but
I had him at 17 last turn, and I don't...
2 Surgicals, maybe? Is the difference?
They hadn't... Yeah, because he fetch shocked on turn 1, right?
Yeah, and I don't think anything's attacked yet.
For the crab that got Portable Hold? Okay, so yeah, we hadn't updated for the first Surgical, so Sims down to 13. Yeah, this is a 2-turn clock for Folks.
All right, Emery gonna target Kappa Cannoneer.
Okay.
Bum,
Definitely a
bum,
two-turn clock with Kappa.
bum. That one wasn't in there until that Fractured Sanity milled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kappa comes in, gets a counter. One heck of a card is Kappa Cannoneer. Originally printed in one of the supplemental products, was a legacy powerhouse for a little while.
Yeah.
Reprinted recently, it's been pretty fun and modern so far.
Razortide Bridge will pump the Kappa Cannoneer, and now the two Thought Monitors come across. Matt Sims at 9 basically needs land and Snaring Bridge to live, and then it's a race to empty his hand.
Yeah, I think it's just over. I don't think he has a land or Snaring Bridge, so. Kappa Cannoneer going to chew him up. It's got Ward a million. Ward, let's see, what's the ward cost? The ward
4.
is your firstborn child. The ward cost is college tuition. The ward cost is a trip to space. You can't afford it, is what I'm saying. All right, target Stormod's Crypt just so that we have an artifact to make Kappa Cannoneer unblockable. Gets a counter. And now that plus some Thought Monitor should be it. Looks like we're going to move over the Shadow Spear for a little insult injury.
Attack for...
Yeah. The sandwich. All right. Great match there between Matt Sims and Franklin Folks. Unfortunately for Sims, a weaker draw in game number 3. Didn't hit the third land. Folks had an explosive draw.
Yeah.
And ultimately took it down there.
If I'm Franklin Folks, I'm feeling there like I got away with something. You know, a tough matchup on paper. You basically destroyed in game 1. It wasn't really close when your opponent had a functional draw. And in game 2, it looked like you were pretty cold to that ensnaring bridge, but found the one-outer. And then your opponent has a non-functional draw in game 3.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things, that really help you top 8 Magic tournaments.